Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Dave TV. It's it's 6:52 in the morning on the 12th of September 2012. I'm having my 100% juice, fruit and veggie. This stuff's good. Pardon me a second. So why am I doing a Dave TV this early in the morning? Because I had a revelation. Last night, in my dreams, in my sleep, I get these psychic, some say psychotic, visions. And one of the things I was, that came to just these otherworldly ideas. Well, anyhow, I've been thinking. So yesterday's big news, it's big news in the radio biz, but most people in the Washington listening community don't give a rat's ass. But anyhow, CBS announced that it's going to be flipping 1580 over to a government business format, okay? So, back 9 months ago, WNEW launched. CBS launched WNEW, that new all-newser on 99.1. And the ratings for it haven't been so great. It really hasn't done anything in the ratings. The last ratings roundup we showed, it was like 28th or 29th or something like that. So it really hasn't made any impact on WTOP, Hubbard's longtime all-newser here in Washington. In fact, WTOP's ratings recently have gone up. They're back up to a solid number one place. So, what's the deal with... So then anyhow, so when CBS launched WNEW on 99.1, they took 1580, and they took the WHFS calls and sent them down to Florida, and they're down in Tampa now. But anyhow, they made WNEW-AM 1580. And kept that talk format on it. No ratings, never gets any ratings on 1580. And we were all speculating back in January and February that, hey, maybe CBS was going to flip the 1580 frequency over to that government/business format and compete with Hubbard's other station, Federal News Radio, which is a federal government type format, which would only work in Washington because you got all these federal government workers here. Well, anyhow, it just didn't happen. Months and months and months went by and didn't happen. And now why? In September, do they make the announcement that CBS is going to flip 1580 to this government format, and which is going to start on the 1st of October. Why do it now? After 9 or 10 months of no ratings for WNEW-FM on the all news format, why are you going to do that now to kind of mirror what Hubbard's doing with WTOP? Hubbard has WTOP all newser on 103.5 and 103.9 and 107.7, and they also have that federal news. Federal News Radio on 1500 AM and 820 AM. And now, WFED, it doesn't get any ratings. It gets low ratings, but it does bring in some money. For what it is, it's a relatively good biller because it gets a lot of those government ads. When McDonnell Douglas is trying to sell a bomber, or some advocacy group is trying to reach some goons on Capitol Hill, they buy an ad on WFED, probably in combination with WTOP. So it does generate some revenue for Hubbard significantly, even though it doesn't get much ratings. So I guess that's what CBS is thinking. And you got to realize, so what is CBS? What's the whole game plan at CBS now with WNEW, FM, and AM? What are they trying to do? I mean, there's no ratings. The signal is out of market. It's a Baltimore market signal, technically, in Anne Arundel County. 1580 is, it's a good daytime. It's an okay daytime signal. It's high on the dial, so it's not the greatest coverage. But their night signal is nothing. It's over there in Morningside, Maryland, which is southeast of D.C. So the night signal basically just gets a small swath of Prince George's County. What's the deal with it? I don't know. I personally think CBS would do better by flipping 1580 to be an AM version of WJFK, the sports talker, putting on full-time that new CBS Sports Radio Network. I think that would be a better move for 1580. But you got to say, what's going on here with this new FedGov format on 1580? And then that's when I was getting my dream last night. I'm thinking, there's something else going on here. Back channel. CBS New York, Hubbard in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Something's going on here. I really, really think that these two companies are talking to each other. CBS would just give its left nut and its right nut to own WTOP. And, I think the folks that work at WTOP would probably love getting bought by CBS, because CBS has a heritage of all news radio. CBS runs top all news radio stations or news talkers in New York, in Philly, in Boston, Pittsburgh, and LA, San Francisco, all over the country. They run, Chicago. They run top all news or news talk stations. And TOP would probably, it was at one time partly owned by CBS, and the folks that work there would probably like to be owned by CBS again. And CBS would like to own WTOP. And I just wonder if, Steve Swinson was brought down from New York, where he ran. He's a former WTOPer, actually, but he went up to New York to run WCBS and WINS up there in New York, which are their two all-newsers up in New York. He was brought down here last summer, back in 2011, and, to run the startup and all-newser here in Washington. And even if the all-newser here in Washington, the new CBS all-newser here in Washington doesn't get the ratings, you got to wonder, there's some kind of a ploy going on here. His deal is, now, we got to get things stirred up in Washington. So that's from CBS's point of view. The CBS suits are saying, get down there in Washington, stir things up enough so at least Hubbard will come to the table and start talking to us about selling us WTOP. Okay? Now, it could be the other way around. Maybe Hubbard's thinking about buying WNEW. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine. Why would Hubbard want to buy WNEW other than just to get it to shut down? And it's not hurting WTOP anyhow. So what would be the point of that? And they'll sell us the 99.1 signal out there in Crofton. I mean, I guess that could happen. I guess it could happen. It doesn't seem like much that way. It seems like things would go the other way. That maybe now that CBS is signaling to Hubbard, hey, we're in the Washington market. We may not be getting any ratings now with WNEW, but we're in it for the long run. We're not going away. And the only thing that's going to happen to WTOP in the next year or two is we're going to slowly siphon away your ratings, and your station value will go down. Okay, it's still way up, going to be as high as it will be right now. So CBS is coming to the table with a pile of money, and who knows, and they're saying, Hubbard, here's what we're offering, pile of money, sell us. That's the only stations basically that Hubbard owns in the market. They only really own 1.5 stations. They own WTOP, they own WFD, and the little Mexican station. So really they don't have a big cluster here in terms of station-wise, although they are the top biller in the market, and they are the top, TOP is the top biller in the country ad-wise. So it is a huge station, and not a big cluster. And I just have this funny back channel feeling, psychic feeling I was getting in my dreams last night, that Hubbard and CBS are talking. And it wouldn't surprise me if before the end of the year or early 2013, boom, CBS announces that it's buying WTOP from Hubbard for some astronomical price. It just wouldn't surprise me. Okay? Why is CBS doing this WNEW thing? Why do they seem to be continuing to do it even after 9 months and no ratings? Why are they launching a BizGov talker that's going to get no ratings? No one's going to listen to 1580. They could put polkas on 1580. No one's going to listen to it. They're trying to be an annoying mosquito, trying to, like drip kind of thing. The Chinese water torture, the drip. A drip on your head isn't going to drive you crazy unless it goes on forever and ever. And it's the kind of thing of the WNEW Chinese water torture, drip. CBS is just trying to, using all the psychological muster they can get to get Hubbard to the table to sit and talk and sell WTOP to CBS. That's what I think is going on here. Okay, none of my radio gurus would confirm that or mention that, but I know the way things played out yesterday. I was talking to some folks at TOP, and my brain siphoned through all that stuff last night, and it suddenly popped out. Bing! Something's going on. Something's going on. Okay. So when it happens that we get that announcement out of New York City that CBS is buying WTOP from Hubbard for gob billions of dollars, you heard it here first. Live long and prosper.